If you or someone you love receives Social Security on a prepaid debit card, or if you're one of the few Americans who still rely on paper checks, listen to me very carefully. Most people assume that once their Social Security payment method is set up, it's set for life. The card arrives in the mail, the money shows up every month. You buy groceries, you pay bills, and the system quietly runs in the background. Simple, predictable, reliable, or at least that's what most people believe. But that belief is about to be tested, because on June 24th, 2026, the federal government quietly confirmed one of the biggest payment system changes Social Security beneficiaries have seen in years. A change that will affect millions of Americans. A change that could impact how retirees, disabled Americans, and survivors receive their monthly benefits. And for some people, it could create confusion, delays, and opportunities for scammers to strike. According to the announcement, the Treasury Department is replacing the Direct Express debit card program used by more than 3.6 million Americans. At the same time, the era of the paper Social Security check is coming to an end. By the end of this year, paper payments are expected to disappear entirely. Think about that for a moment. Millions of people are being pushed into a new banking system. Millions of debit cards will eventually be replaced. And millions of seniors are about to receive letters, emails, advertisements, and phone calls claiming to help them navigate the transition. Some of those messages will be legitimate, others won't. And that's where the real danger begins. Because whenever a major government payment system changes, fraudsters pay attention. They know confusion creates opportunity, and they know seniors are often the first targets. Today, we're going to break down exactly what's changing. We'll look at why millions of Direct Express cardholders are being moved into a new system. We'll explain what this means for your monthly benefits. We'll uncover the fee traps many retirees don't see coming. And most importantly, we'll show you how to protect yourself from the scam wave that's already beginning to build around this transition. Because the last thing you want is to discover there's a problem with your benefits after your payment is supposed to arrive. So before you throw away that next piece of mail, before you answer that unexpected phone call, and before you assume this change doesn't affect you, let's take a closer look at what's actually happening. Let's start with what was actually announced. For years, millions of Americans who didn't have a traditional bank account relied on a program called Direct Express. Instead of receiving a paper check or having money deposited into a bank account, their Social Security benefits were loaded directly onto a prepaid debit card. For many retirees, that card isn't just convenient, it's essential. It's how they buy groceries, how they pay rent, how they cover prescriptions. For more than 3.6 million Americans, that piece of plastic is their financial lifeline. And now, that system is changing. According to the announcement, the Treasury Department is transitioning the Direct Express program to a new financial institution, which means millions of cardholders will eventually receive replacement cards. At first glance, that may not sound like a big deal. A new card arrives, you activate it, life goes on. But anyone who has ever helped an older parent navigate technology knows it isn't always that simple. Because a card replacement is rarely just a card replacement. New systems often mean new procedures, new logins, new security requirements, new websites, and sometimes new headaches. Imagine you're 78 years old. You've spent years using the same card, the same website, the same routine. Then one day, an unfamiliar envelope arrives in the mail. The logo is different, the instructions are different, the phone number is different. And suddenly you're being asked to update information, create passwords, and learn an entirely new system. For some people, that's a minor inconvenience. For others, it's overwhelming. And that's exactly why transitions like this create problems. Not because the technology is impossible, but because millions of people are being asked to change something they've relied on for years. Now here's where things become especially important. If your mailing address isn't current, you could miss critical information about the transition. If you automatically throw away unfamiliar mail, you could accidentally discard something important. And if you're not paying attention, you may find yourself scrambling at the last minute to understand what changed. That's why preparation matters, because the people who experience the smoothest transitions are usually the people who know they're coming. But replacing millions of debit cards isn't the only challenge. In fact, the bigger risk may come from something entirely different. Because whenever millions of Americans are forced into a new system, someone is always waiting to take advantage of the confusion. And what happens next is what concerns consumer advocates the most. Now let's talk about the part of this transition that worries consumer advocates the most. Because replacing millions of debit cards isn't the biggest threat. The scammers are. Every time a major government program changes, a second industry quietly comes to life: fraud. Criminals know exactly how these transitions work. They know confusion creates opportunity. And they know that many seniors are already nervous about anything involving Social Security. So they exploit that fear. Imagine your phone rings tomorrow morning. The caller claims they're from Social Security, or your card provider. They sound professional, they know your name, they may even know your address. Then they tell you there's a problem. Your new card is being processed, your account needs verification, your benefits could be delayed. All you need to do is confirm a few pieces of information. Your Social Security number, your PIN, your online password. And just like that, your entire monthly benefit can disappear. The reality is simple. No legitimate government agency will call and demand your PIN. No legitimate representative will ask for your debit card password. And no legitimate payment provider will threaten to stop your benefits unless you immediately provide sensitive information. If someone does, hang up. Immediately. Because once scammers gain access to your account, recovering stolen funds can be incredibly difficult. And unfortunately, this isn't the only trap waiting for retirees. There's another cost hidden in transitions like these. One that many people don't notice until the money is already gone. The ATM fee trap. Most retirees develop routines. They use the same ATM, the same grocery store, the same places they've used for years. But when payment systems change, ATM networks can change too. And that's where problems begin. Because using the wrong machine, even by accident, can trigger fees. A few dollars here, a few dollars there, not enough to cause alarm, but enough to slowly drain money from a fixed income. And when you're living on a tight budget, every dollar matters. That's why understanding your new card's rules is so important. Know which ATMs are approved. Know which services are free. Know where fees apply. Because the people who lose the most money are usually the people who assume everything works exactly the same way it did before. And that's a dangerous assumption during a transition. But while debit card users are facing new challenges, there's another group facing an even bigger change. A group that's about to lose the payment method they've relied on for decades. Because hidden within this transition is a decision that marks the end of an entire era. The era of the Social Security paper check. For decades, millions of Americans trusted one thing above all else: the paper check. Every month, it arrived in the mailbox. You could hold it in your hands. You could see it, touch it, deposit it yourself. For many seniors, that physical check represented something important: control, independence. And for some people, it was the only payment method they ever wanted to use. No apps, no passwords, no online accounts, no digital banking. Just a check in the mail. But that era is coming to an end. The federal government has been moving toward electronic payments for years. And now, the transition is entering its final stage. For the small group of beneficiaries who still receive paper payments, change is no longer optional. Sooner or later, everyone will be expected to receive benefits electronically. For some people, that's not a problem. They already use direct deposit. They already bank online. They already manage their finances digitally. But for others, this feels like being pushed into a system they never asked for. And that's what makes this transition so difficult. It's not just about technology. It's about trust. Many older Americans grew up handling every financial transaction face-to-face. They balanced checkbooks, visited local banks, and preferred paper records they could keep in a drawer. Now they're being asked to navigate a world of apps, passwords, verification codes, and digital accounts. For some, that's intimidating. And unfortunately, confusion often leads to mistakes. Missed mail, missed notices, missed instructions, and in rare situations, missed payments. That's why preparation matters. If you've moved recently, make sure your mailing address is up to date. If you're unsure how your benefits are being delivered, verify it now. If a family member helps manage your finances, make sure they're aware of these changes too. Because the people who prepare early usually avoid the stress later. The financial system is changing, whether we like it or not. But understanding the change is what allows you to stay ahead of it. And now, you know what to watch for. You know a major card transition is underway. You know scammers are already preparing to exploit confusion. And you know electronic payments are becoming the new standard. But receiving your Social Security payment is only half the battle. Because for thousands of retirees, the biggest threat isn't how the money arrives. It's the possibility of the government demanding some of that money back. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss next. Right now, the Social Security Administration is aggressively pursuing overpayment collections. Some retirees are opening letters claiming they owe thousands of dollars. Others are discovering their monthly checks have suddenly been reduced. And many have no idea what rights they actually have. If you want to understand how these overpayment clawbacks work, what forms may help protect you, and what steps retirees are taking to challenge them, click the video on your screen right now. I'll walk you through everything you need to know. Stay informed, stay protected, and I'll see you in the next video.